One of the most boring thing is probably to study the endgames. Yet, the endgames are what gives really rewards to players, especially tournament players, because it's where you decide if you are able or not to win the game. So to study the endgame is a must. Yet, if we don't like it, how do we make it like it? I found this book that has 50 example games in which the game is shown all. It doesn't comment obviously on the opening, but it reaches the position of the endgame that he wants to teach you about, and then you can follow from there. So for me it's pleasant because I can see the game over the board and then reach the endgame and understand also that part. So let me start with the last game of the book, game number 50. Game number 50 was played in Brissago in 2004 between Vladimir Kramnik and P. Leko. It was a World Championship game. It was game 14 of that World Championship. Kramnik opens with e4 and Leko open with c6. So this is Caro-Kann, right? d4, d5, e5, bishop f5, h4, h6. Now, the game doesn't comment on the opening. I tell you, however, that it's obvious after h4 that you want to play something like this and make you lose the bishop, right? So obviously h6 is needed. As you can see, g4, yeah, very, very aggressive. So what does that tell you? It tells you that he wanted to win the game at every cost. Bishop d7. Now this move is very interesting. Why? Because maybe has been found by a computer. Also, if in 2004 computers were not strong as of today, but it's possible that grandmasters were using them for discovering novelties. Why I think it's interesting? Because you see, in the Caro-Kann you play this instead of the French defense because you want to have this bishop out. No, you are tired of having a light square bishop doing nothing. And here with bishop d7 it seems that the bishop will be close and locked inside. So I don't know what will happen, but I think it will be interesting to see this game and see if my fear or my prediction happens or not. Knight d2, and here there is a c5. Yeah, so he was able to free this light square bishop. D takes c5, e6. And now this is a kind of French defense. Very interesting. Knight b3. Wow, beautiful move. Bishop takes c5. Knight takes c5. And obviously queen a5. c3, queen takes c5. But as you can see, now we are in a French defense with this strange pawn formation, and black has this kind of bad bishop. Notice the French, we are missing the pawn d4, but it's a kind of French advance. Okay? Okay, let's see what happens. So after c3, queen takes c5, there is knight f3, knight e7, bishop d3, knight b c6, bishop e3, queen a5, queen d2. As you can see, white is ready to castle. Knight g6, bishop d4, protecting e5, knight takes d4, c takes d4. I guess white is not going to castle. Queen takes d2, and king takes d2. Honestly, is not a bad position at all. I think white has a nice position. This game is something of a parallel to Botvinnik-Bronstein game 23. Here too the World Championship was at stake in the decisive game of a match. This was the 14th and the last game, barely over half the number played in 1951. So yeah, because in 1951 the World Championship was 24 games and it ended in a draw, and Botvinnik was able to survive as a world champion. Here in 2004 he says this was the last game of a match. Kramnik, in order to keep the title with equality practically, had to have the same amount of points, but he was behind one, so it was probably 7 for Leko and 6 for Kramnik. Okay, here it says white has a small but definite advantage thanks to more space and the better bishop. However, the black position is very solid and has no real weaknesses, so it will not be easy to break him down. Okay, in fact I ask myself what happened after knight f4, and he makes rook ac1 because he wants probably to enter in the 7. It seems that bishop f1 wasn't so good because of h5. Okay, h5, as you can see, black continue, however, to improve his position, to attack a little, because he doesn't want to exchange right away. He wants to keep a kind of a tension, right? So after h5, if you were white, what would you play? Because again, I tell you, it can be an interesting thing, this thing that we are doing in with these videos, because I ask you some questions and you need to find the answer, right? So try to find out what would be the next move. Kramnik played rook hg1, and it's a good move. He says it's not good to play this because this blocks the king side, and instead with rook hg1 you activate the rook, and that creates the potential of opening a g file and attack on it, right? So that's the very interesting situation. It seems the best move bishop c6, because if you don't play it but you play knight h3, white will continue with rook g3, knight takes f2, and g takes h5, and then it's difficult for black to defend this pawn. So that's why bishop c6 is better in a sense. G takes h5, knight takes h5. Structurally, white has acquired a weakness on the h file, but on the other hand, the opening of lines on the king side gives more dynamism to the position, so maybe he thinks that he's gonna attack at a certain point, I don't know. Let's see. Now white plays b4, a6 and a4. White starts seizing space on the other wing. Classic two-front strategy. So what he's saying is the typical principle of the two weaknesses. Once you have fixed one weakness, that you are here attacking this and this is defending, you create another weakness on the other side of the board because this unbalance will help to win the game, okay? So it seems that black played king d8, not a good move at all. It seems this is a very bad mistake. Can you imagine? Just king d8. I don't know, honestly. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And also, bishop takes f4 with rook c7 is bad. So what should black play? It seems the correct move is king e7, and after b5, a takes b, king d7, rook c7, and b6. And here he says he could not find, white could not find a direct win. And black obviously intends to challenge a rook with rook h c8. And then if rook b7, rook h b8, and blah blah blah. But it seems white is not able to gain an advantage from this kind of position. So this is kind of interesting. Now let's return back to the game. I think the position was this, and this goes down. I think it should have, no, and this is here. So here we go. This is the position from which we started, and so that king d8 not so good, okay? Not so good as a move. Instead, king e7 was the right one. Now, after king d8, why king d8 is not the right move? Because now this square is vulnerable and white immediately take advantage of it. Of course, black defends, okay, and white is still trying to go in the 7th, right? The point of white's play is to answer a takes b5 with bishop takes b5. As we discussed in the contrast of Petrosian Bannik, obviously another game of a book that we didn't see yet, but we will see. But bishops are often effective defenders of the weaknesses, and the key to success frequently involves exchanging off the bad bishops so to expose the weaknesses. That is the case here. Once the bishop on e8 is removed, black finds it harder to cover f7 satisfactorily. Okay, and here it gives a sample variation. Kramnik gives a sample variation, but we don't want to watch it because, guys, you can buy the book and watch it by yourself if you like long variations. Okay, it's just like 7 moves long. I don't think someone is really able to calculate 7 moves, especially if they are not forced. If they are forced, okay. So how does black continue with knight f4? Which makes sense because now this is not attacked by the rook on g1, but oops, there is this. Now there is no way to prevent a rook invasion at c7, and black position is objectively lost. What is going to happen now? Knight takes d3, king takes d3, and rook c8. Black eliminates one enemy rook, but the other will replace it. Rook takes e8, king takes e8, rook c1, bishop c6 to avoid the entrance here, and unfortunately, boom, knight takes f7, rook takes h4, knight d6, king d8. Now, if he played this, what would you play as white? Because you see, if I just show you this and you continue, okay, but if you play this, if black played this, what do you think white would play? Because white has a very tactical possibility, and so just for this, in my opinion, the price of the book was worth, because it showed me something, right? Boom! Knight takes b7. You play this, he plays this, and he has won the game practically. So clearly, king d7 is not a possibility, right? He needs to play something else. And what did he play? He played, let's see, king e7, right? Let me check the position to be sure. Okay, sorry. He didn't play king d7, he played king d8, okay? That was the right move. Now, how does white continue? With rook g1, because he's attacking, right? And now the problem is that this is gonna lose, because it's too passive. So black played rook h3, king e2, rook a3, and rook takes g7. Kramnik pointed out that if black starts checking, the white king can march into the heart of black position via f4 and g5. So if you start to get tack, 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 and tack. Okay, so that's the maneuver he wants to do. Let's see what our friend plays here. f4. After, oh sorry, it was black. Rook takes a4, and here try to find the move for white, because, okay, you just saw it. f4, beautiful move, right? Beautiful move. If he plays rook takes d4, there is f5, and then e takes f5, e6, and there is a checkmate in one move. So that's why you cannot really take on d4, but watch this, rook e2, no? King f3, rook a3, king g4, rook d3, and now f5, boom, rook takes d4, king g5, e takes f5, and obviously the king penetrate in enemy territory, and here it start to become kind of scary, right? Because it looks like he's lost. Rook g4, rook c7, rook h4, and now the game is over, thanks to what? Thanks to knight f7. A fine technical squeeze by Kramnik, played in conditions of enormous tension. Why condition of enormous tension? Because, like he said, this was the last game of the match. If he didn't win, he wouldn't retain the cycle, okay? The World Championship title. Okay, so after knight f7, what do you think black could have played? Probably he could have played this, the only move, but then what happens? And then there is what? He plays, but he could play this if he's able to keep it. And if he's able to promote, but who knows? Interesting situation, however, very interesting. And then there is rook e7 check, king f8, How do you continue there? Oh, I don't know. This look seems interesting. What do you think? Tack, tack. And now, oops. Yeah, but unfortunately there is this. So what do you do? He could push this, or he could go back here and defend it. But, well, that was an idea. I'm not sure it's the right one, but it's interesting to see how it actually finished at this point after King E8. Let's see. Check. Tack. Checkmate. This is the real one. Okay, so this is the move. As you can see, however, it takes few minutes to find out the correct sequence. And maybe the author should have put it because some people wouldn't be able to find it out. Maybe. What do you think? Let me know. Thank you very much for watching the video.